I told everybody of his good stuff, and I did everything as a kid to get this horse not to go slaughter, but to a home. And the sale was done. I said bye. And I went home, and from the time I was a young teenager until a few weeks ago, when Pilot was helping me work through this, Brownie came in. I didn't want to know what happened to him. So this is our big boy Pilot. He is our OG. And Moonshine has been his caregiver, protector, lately because he has lost his sight. He can see shadows a little bit. And on this eye, he can see just a little bit through it, not much. But this eye is it's almost blind other than shadows. He can't see anything other than that. Pilot has been, I got him when he was 3, and he is 20 years old now, and he's been here the whole time. He was a stallion back then, and my goal with him was to go at Olympic levels, jumping and dressage and all of that. We didn't go Olympic level, mainly because of my ex-husband. Thought that the money should go other places. And so in that process, I ended up gelding him to where he couldn't have any more babies. But Jewel is his granddaughter. So what's been going on with Pilot is we made a promise a long time ago that I would sell him before he got to where he couldn't perform anymore. And when he started getting to the old age, I don't handle the old age of animals very well. In a lot of different reasons why. It's just a lot for me. We move through a lot of emotions on this place, and if they want to stay, we let them stay, and we love them and care for them. But sometimes they want to go to another home where it's a better process and an easier process. Not, I don't know how else to say that. But so Pilot gave me the cue last year that he was ready to go back to some big performance stuff. I'm going to let him wander for a second. And so I got him really good again in jumping and just ready to sell him as a performance horse last year. But then I kind of chickened out. Because I started feeling that competition again. And here at the ranch, we're evolving a lot to where hardcore competitions don't really fit in our schedule anymore. We work with clients and we do a lot of really cool things with the horses and the healing work and stuff like that. And just big, hard competitions just don't fit in anymore. And so I got him all ready, chickened out, and then his right eye went blind on me. And I was like, oh no. So we got that kind of cleared up, and then it came back again, and he lost it again. She's supporting me. And then, so I thought, well, great, now I've ruined the sale of his high-end performance to go take care of a little girl or someone who is intermediate to a beginner. And then I was like, well, no, we could just, maybe the family couldn't afford that type of horse. Then, so again, I kind of chickened out. And I kept having these things that kept stopping me from wanting to sell him to another home when he says it's time, right? It's time. You can't use me the way you want to here and the way I want to here anymore. Let me go somewhere else. So I chickened out. And then it was about 3 weeks ago, I had my horses out on a rented property, and somewhere in that process, he went blind in the other eye, and I didn't see it yet because we'd been traveling. It was within a few days that this happened. My neighbor decided, the owner on the pasture let it release out to some other people, some sheep people at the same time. And those sheep people thought my horses weren't supposed to be on there, so they opened up my adjacent gate to the field and ran them through the gate into my property to put them back in my property. Well, Pilot couldn't see, and Pilot started running through fences and getting cut up. And they called me, and somehow he made it through the gate. And when I got home, he was out here. They were all loose out here. And long story short, we healed up his cuts, and his eyesight is pretty much gone. And Moonshine has been his caregiver for the last 3 weeks. So we've had some serious conversations. Pilot he trusts me. I can talk to him. We've done this for years, right? 17 years together. We've worked with clients from all over the world. We've done performance. We've all kinds of stuff, just years together. And so when I talk to him or I call him, he understands and he listens. And the thing that I've been saying lately is just trust me when we go through this gate. Just trust me, I'll tell you. Just trust me. And so he has been doing that. Be nice. And but it's been a challenge for him because he trusts me and he trusts Moonshine, but the rest of the horses he doesn't really trust that they'll have his best interest. And so I've been talking to him lately, and he has been asking to go. He's been asking to go because he doesn't want to just do nothing, and he doesn't like not being able to see and feel insecure and scared at times. He doesn't like feeling scared is his thing. It's been so long since he's felt that fear. He's been so confident and powerful his whole life. And I don't have the time to make him our sole horse. We've got all of our horses we care for, and we've got new babies coming up. Kiki, right there, the Appaloosa, is going to have a baby any day. She might even have it tomorrow. And Pilot has told me that he wants to help that baby, but not here, not in the physical. And so I've come to a hard choice point where he and I have had long conversations for a little while about things, and he has asked to go. So one thing about death is he's wanted me to kind of talk about death. Death brings with it a lot of fear, a lot of emotions, a lot of belief patterns that are trained in us. We're trained that death is a scary thing, that death is the end of our life, that we don't know what's on the other side of death, that death is okay if it's an old person that is already starting to go. It's not as bad. But if it's a younger person, then it's terrible. If it's a suicide, people have labeled suicides really bad, with a lot of different things like that. And we can go through another video on what death can be. But Pilot has reminded me over the years of all of our death experience with our family here, animals and human families, and how we've been taught to move through the love and honor the life and allow, when we bury our animals, we put in memorabilia in there and we bless it. Some of the hardest parts of the death that we've experienced is when it's just had to happen and we weren't prepared for it. And we didn't have that choice and it was just coming, or we just lost them, right? And then my dog, Radar, both my last dogs, they got to the point where we got to have conversations and choose when they were put down. We got to choose the dogs got to choose what they were buried with. And the last days were just glorious. We just celebrated them. We gave them almost anything they wanted those last days. And we built it how they wanted, the ceremonial death. And Pilot has come to the point where he is reminding me that we have chosen this section in a really roundabout way. That our promises to each other still can live. And I haven't let him down and he hasn't let me down. And that we're listening to each other. And so this week, Pilot will be sharing with me how he wants to go, where he wants to be buried on the property. I already know he wants a big ass tree planted right by where he's buried. He gets to share with me what he wants buried with. He's told me that he wants those two, his granddaughter and Moonshine, his protector, to be with him when he goes. And so a process that I had to go through that I didn't realize was holding me back was I didn't want to let him down, and I wanted to be forgiven of the promises I didn't keep with him that I thought I didn't keep. And so we've worked through some of that. And a funny thing that came up was when I was a kid, I had a horse named Brownie, almost the same color. And my dad said he was too much for me, I couldn't ride him. And long story short, like Jewel said in one of the other ones, live your passion and push forward. I was determined, and I made it so that I could ride that horse, Brownie. And we jumped, and it was the first time I rode horses over jumps. And it was the first time I did dressage. It was the first time I got to compete in that whole area, and it was amazing in the eventing. And it just lit up a whole other side of me. And that was the area that I specifically bought Pilot for, was to go bigger in that area. Well, Brownie had a big scar on his back leg, and my instructor says I couldn't jump him over 2'6" because of that leg. It couldn't get up strong enough. So we practiced, and we got to where we were jumping 4 feet. And then he got a disease that was called a navicular disease, where his bone starts deteriorating, and the nerve that goes through right there starts to scratch on it, and so they go lame. We found a new discovery where you could cut that nerve, but then they couldn't feel their feet, so you had to train them. I rode him for 5 years jumping 4-foot jet fences with that, and then the nerves rerouted themselves. And this is why it's been holding on, is because my dad was a rough cowboy, and he didn't like having much sentimental in anything. And when those nerves came back, he decided that since the horse couldn't do his purpose for us, that he would sell it at an auction. Not just any auction, but an auction where they have a tendency to sell horses for meat, a slaughter one. And I could not believe this was happening. The horse couldn't walk very well. He needed a home, he needed a burial, he needed something more. So as a child, I went to the sell ring and I made him the best horse, and I showed him off, and I told everybody of his good stuff, and I did everything as a kid to get this horse not to go slaughter but to a home. And the sale was done. I said bye. And I went home, and from the time I was a young teenager until a few weeks ago, when Pilot was helping me work through this, Brownie came in. I didn't want to know what happened to him. I was too scared to know what happened, so I wouldn't talk to him about it. I wouldn't talk to God about it. I wouldn't talk to anybody about it because I didn't want to know what happened to him after they hit sold. And Brownie told me that because I did so good, there was this man and a daughter, and he bought the horse, Brownie, and for the next 2 years, they gave him painkillers, and Brownie taught this cute little family how to ride and how to go on trails and let them live a dream where it built this man's confident back up from a big loss he had. And I think he probably bought another horse. I don't know after that, but then they gave him a good burial. And so what I realized was I had perceptions on death as well, holding. And I was trying to make sure that my prized jumper horse was not going to go out the same way. I was never going to let him down. We were going to keep all of our promises, right? And I was feeling like I'd let him down. And so I was buying time for myself to get through the pain I had from what happened with Brownie that I was too scared to look at for the rest of the story. And so Pilot has said that he wants you guys to look at when death comes into your life, it is a time to shift your life. You have a big shift coming. And if you're experiencing the suffering in the shift, it's because you're resisting the shift. It's because you have belief systems that's holding you back, thinking it should be or shouldn't be, or you've got guilt that's weighing you down that you need to work through. Look at where you're being asked to do the shift in your life and ask for support and how to do that the best way possible. Don't ignore the answers because you're scared of what the answers might be. Let yourself open up to how you connect to the answers. Let yourself find where those shifts are ready and willing. And so our shift is showing us that the movement we're taking, the ranch and the business and all the taste your magic stuff, is a way that he wants to still be part of, that he was a huge part of, that he started it confidently and helped me through my challenges so I could show up for you guys and my clients. And now it's time for his performance life, and the promises that we had, they're out of date. And so now I get to make new promises together, and those are still being discovered, but mostly it's allowing him to have the best death Passover ever and celebrated forever on. And celebrate our new life coming just around the corner that he's going to be supporting. Okay, and now I want you to check in with Pilot and see if he has any last words to share with you. So that's what I have for you guys today.